FM for a refreshing conversation on building, managing, and preserving wealth the smart way. From practical financial insights to expert perspectives that help you plan for today and secure tomorrow. This is a show that puts your financial future first. Tune in every Monday from 5:30 p.m. to 5:40 p.m. Your money should work as hard as you do. Join us on Classic FM for Future First. Tune in every Monday from 5:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. for this insightful wealth management program, because informed decisions lead to lasting wealth.
A very good evening to you. Welcome to tonight's edition of Wealth Management and You. My name is Chico. Joining me once more in the studio, Raphael Eminion. Hey Raphael.
How you doing, Chico?
Not too bad. Hope you had an okay weekend.
Yeah, did you?
Yeah, mine was good as well.
Family as well?
That's right.
Fantastic.
They're doing all right.
Fantastic.
Our topic on today's show is part 2 of AI and wealth management. And to join us and speak about that, we'd like to say a warm welcome to Ayodele Oluleye, who's the head Insights and Data Management, ARM. Welcome again to the show.
All right, thank you, Chico. Thank you, Rafael.
Okay, so as we said, we're going to be looking at AI and wealth management on the show today. Raphael will be more talking. I'll be doing some listening and chipping in here and there. But let me kick things off by saying, are AI investment recommendations better than a wealth advisor's? Especially, you know, these young people are just punching, and all of a sudden something comes up, and is that better? What's your take on it?
Well, that's a very tricky question.
You'll protect your side. And if you ask me that question as a radio presenter, you know, you have AI presenters now.
Yeah.
I'll simply tell you, nope, they can't. The short answer is no. AI can't do my job. They'll do better than me. It's just not. But maybe it's different in the finance world.
I mean, so like I said, it's a tricky question. I'll say that there's a lot of nuance. Right, so there's certain things that AI would do quite well, right? And there are certain things a human would also do better, right? So when it comes to looking at data, crunching lots and loads of data, right, to understand your goal, your risk appetite, and all of that, AI definitely will do that very well, right? But again, there are lots of other nuances that, you know, it might not understand. For example, if you look at the Nigerian market, there's certain things about the Nigerian market that, you know, AI might just not be able to pick up, that a wealth advisor with all that experience would know that, okay, this is something I need to pay attention to for this person. So I'll say that they have their strengths, and it really depends on what you're trying to achieve. But one of the things AI does is the fact that it democratizes access, right? It democratizes investment advice, in the sense that with, access to like a chat GPT, you probably will just be able to get some form of, you know, advice without having to go to a wealth advisor. Obviously, there are risks to that, but the fact is that it's now available to people who might not have been able to afford it before now, even though there are risks to it.
So it's an interesting analogy you make. I'm thinking of it in the Nigerian context. I mean, listening to all of you wealth advisors, economists, and all these sorts of people, they will say to you, the policies over the last several years are going to reap some sort of benefit, and also those things, you know, in practice, I don't feel it, and I live here. You know, I know that I am experiencing real time some kind of cost of living crisis. I know that my money buys me less and less and less. So the reality of my existence is very different to what anybody might be saying to me about what is happening on the larger scale. It's certainly not trickling down to me. So AI would probably go along the lines of all these analysts, and oh, well, this policy has happened to this, and so this one happening, and we can expect, we're going to make all projections. that sound very rosy, but in reality, on ground, it's a different story. And so the proof of the pudding is in the eating.
Yeah, so I mean, before you respond to, maybe in addition to your response to Chico, you know, the last time you were here as well, maybe we'll also take it up from there. You had said that there was a GTB public offer, and you had to use the application, right, to take a decision, right, make an informed decision whether you need to invest or not. Now, my question is, who's responsible if there was an error, for instance? I would say comparing AI to the human wealth advisor. If there was an error, for instance, in that decision you had made, who would be responsible for that error?
All right, so let me give some backstory. I remember, I think it was 2024 when that happened. I mean, it was just all over the place. And I was trying to decide, should I invest in this, should I not invest in this? And, so I got the documents, got the prospectus. And I remember just playing around first with ChatGPT and then Claude, just dumping in the documents and saying, advise me. And it came out with a lot of the analysis and, said, oh yes, you should invest in this. But two things. ChatGPT, if you look somewhere just below the chat box, it actually says ChatGPT can make mistakes. This may just paraphrase it. So be careful.
It does.
That's one. Two, after I had done the analysis and it gave the recommendation, he put in something like, well, this is an investment advice, still talk to an advisor if you want to make a final decision. So I put in some of those disclaimers. So obviously in that case, I mean, whatever decision
indemnify
is on me, right? Definitely on me, not on the system.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because ultimately you're responsible at the end of the day, really, irrespective of what you've used to arrive at the decision.
Exactly.
So in a way, the human advisory is still very much valuable.
Yeah, so I think the way to look at it, so AI is definitely going to keep coming into this space. So for example, last week, I think it was Thursday or Friday, ChatGPT launched the personal finance feature.
Okay.
Right. And I think it can help you with budgeting. Obviously, investments will come in and all of that.
Okay.
So it's something to expect. It's going to happen eventually. And what's likely to happen is that, like I said, democratization, which means that, the average person who can afford ChatGPT, which is possibly just, $20 per month, would then be able to have that type of access, right? But you see, with things like this, and if you look at, history, you find out that human input then becomes a lot more valuable. So let me give you an example. Today, handcrafted bags are premium, right? Artwork done, paint, human beings actually doing that, and not something that's mass produced, is actually premium. So what's likely to happen eventually is that human advisory bit becomes premium.
Okay.
Now the human advisors who are providing the advice might use some AI in coming to the final conclusions. But the point is, what I think is human advice is then going to come at a premium, right? While AI does the mass market, every other person, type of advice.
Okay. Talking about
Let's look at it this way before we move on. For myself, if someone came to me for a job, to interview for a job, and they sent me a resume, CV, reading it, because some of these AI things you can identify
Exactly.
reading AI, you find that that's what it is, and then I've got a few other candidates who I know probably put theirs together properly themselves. I'm more likely to gravitate towards the people who did it themselves as opposed to something that AI.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
That's the point.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it will always come at a premium. Like it will always be premium.
Well, but from recent experiences, there's a depth of skill in that industry today? You know, I know the rounds of interviews that we have to go through, you know, before we can make a choice of a suitable wealth advisor. You know, so there's a depth of skill, and you know, the Nigerian market, the industry. I don't know how much support the industry is also providing, you know, to be able to get people to understand the role of a wealth advisor, you know, versus an account officer in a bank, you know, because they're two different roles, right?
Yeah.
So, looking at that, right, can we still say that the human, and I'm looking at Nigeria now, I'm not looking at the rest of the world. I mean, I know that the training, I know that the skill sets will probably be available, you know, in a developed world.
Yeah.
But here in Nigeria, there's a struggle, you know, to find the right skill set for that industry. So looking at that, would we still say that the human wealth advisor or the human touch will still be is still very important?
Yes, it definitely is. And the interesting thing about scarcity is when there's scarcity, right, it drives the prices up, if you get what I mean, right?
Okay.
So if you think about luxury products,
Supply and demand.
yeah, supply and demand.
Okay.
Luxury products are
That's a
not
good way to
easily
put that.
accessible to you know, everybody.
Okay.
So that scarcity even reinforces my initial point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah, someone
Makes sense.
who was it Mofuluke last week that said she wanted to get a Birkin?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Isn't it?
You first have to buy. I think you first have to buy some accessories
is like
before.
squeezing blood from a stone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not about the money. Even with the money,
Yeah.
well, it's not. You
There's
don't
a
walk
wait
in and
list.
get one.
Then I think you first have to get some accessories
Mm.
before it gets Birkin. You first have to get some accessories before you qualify to get. So yeah, it's
And you see those things. It's by design. So what they're selling and using to drive the price is not necessarily the bag itself.
Yeah.
It is the rarity of it that
exactly.
they are selling to drive the product. You know, it's a fantastic marketing strategy. It really is.
Okay. Talking about budgeting, I mean, you had mentioned that, you know, ChatGPT launched personal finance feature. So, talking about budgeting, do you want to talk to us more about that? How does that work? Does it then mean that it monitors my lifestyle, for instance, and then it helps me make adjustments?
So I saw a demo. I've not tried it out to see it in practice, but how I think it will work is, I mean, if you put in your bank statements, if you put in information about your spend, and a lot of that, it can just help you analyze it, right? The interesting thing about these tools now is they're quite intelligent, right? You give it a document, you just give it data, and it's able to spot patterns that even you might not have been able to figure out. Yeah, so my guess is you give it a lot of that financial information, and then from there it's able to figure out, you know, what you should be doing, how you should be investing, what you should invest, all of that.
And when?
And when exactly. Like I said, AI is very, very strong with, you know, things like data analysis, you know, looking at huge amounts of data, making sense of it. And the interesting part is it does it in you know, just a few minutes or seconds. You know, that's definitely an advantage it has. And that's one limitation you might find with humans, because a human can only process so much, right? But with an AI wealth advisor, you can give it everything about you, and it will figure out, you know, what the best. Obviously, with the caveat, there are risks to it, but
The disclaimer.
the disclaimer would so just be careful.
Okay, so let's look at data protection. So I usually attend, you know, events. I speak to a group of people on wealth management, and I had a session recently, and they never asked me for my profile, but they read my profile while introducing me, including this program. Right? So, after the session, I had to call the lady that invited me to say, hey, how did you guys get my profile? You know, my years of experience in the industry. You know, it was detailed because that's what I even use today to, you know, in place of my profile. And she said it was my footprint, my online footprint. So, first of all, it was shocking. And then the second thing is that, how do I protect my data?
The best way to protect your data is not to go online.
So once it's online,
I mean that's extreme, but yeah, the truth is once it's online, it already creates a footprint, right? And once that footprint is publicly available, right, there's really not much you can do. And I guess that's where it gets really tricky. And the interesting thing is this thing isn't even new to a lot of the tools you have today, right? It's not new to like a ChatGPT. Interesting story, I think this was 2012. You know Target, right? The retail chain, right? So they started doing some analysis around their data. And, you know, the story says they were able to predict women that were pregnant, right? And their EDD 3 months before the time. So they'll start sending catalogs to them.
Wow.
And there's a man who, interestingly, was getting these catalogs. I was wondering, I mean, I have a teenage daughter, my wife is not pregnant, what's going on? So he started to complain. And, you know, went to the store and complained to the manager, what's going on, this is wrong, all of that. And then 2 weeks later, I think the manager called. And the man actually apologized to the manager, saying he later found out his teenage daughter was pregnant. Right, so it shows you how powerful data can be, right? And I think when it comes to data protection, you then have to be really careful what you're putting out there, right? You even now have to be careful with what you're putting into ChatGPT. You know, you just need to be careful, right? If it's very sensitive, if it's very personal, yeah. I know there was something that was trending a year or two ago where people would say, you know, tell me something about what you've learned about me. Tell me things you've learned about me just from my prompts. And I remember people were putting it out there and it was accurate. Just based on what people were asking ChatGPT. You know, so if it's very sensitive, if it's something you don't want out there, don't put it anywhere. That's what I'm saying. Especially not on social media.
We see this everywhere. There is the saying that the data is the new oil. And it's because information is power. Secondly, information helps now to drive certain things. We see those things that come up when you go, you're on a search engine and you search for something, and when you get there, it now access to, we use cookies and It's asking you to I'm always rejecting, but you'll find many that don't give you the option to reject. It will say either manager, they will hide that. I think they're meant by law to give you the option to reject. But they will make it difficult for you to reject it, and I walk away. If it's a side only, I'm just going to walk away. I have the ability to turn my back on it. Because once you put that in, that's a footprint straight away. Even on things like Instagram, you dwell on a page for a while. The next thing you're dominated by things that have to do with that thing that you looked at. So there's all this tracking and stuff going on online. It's even scary when you start to think about it.
And I think, to Chico's point, not just you, even if it's your spouse that goes to that page often, you begin to see it on your phone as well.
That's right.
And it's scary.
The scarier part is, I don't know if this has ever happened to you. You're talking to someone about something. You didn't put it anywhere. And then all of a sudden you see it online.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, I've experienced it as well.
It's almost like they're eavesdropping on your conversations.
But absolutely they are. Sometimes the thing activates by itself.
Yeah.
Just suddenly go bam. That means you've been listening all along.
Exactly.
You know,
It is
don't be surprised that we leave here today, the three of us, and suddenly things to do with this subject
Just
start to pop up on
Not impossible.
yeah. So it is scary stuff, and I think we just have to always consider what you're doing very, very carefully online, especially the moment you're going to let something go out there. Because the minute that happens, it doesn't belong to you anymore. It can be used however and whenever. So that's it. There is a footprint, and I think we all have one now.
Yeah.
Wow. Let's talk a little bit about robo-advisor.
Okay.
I think it's making waves in the industry in Nigeria today. But even though a lot of people still don't know that that's what is happening when they go on the sites of the wealth managers, and they're trying to make investment decisions, and they type in a few information and they get recommendation. People wonder what's behind that. That's robo-advisor, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk to us more about it, the logic behind it?
Yeah. So I think very interesting. Robo-advisors have actually been around for a bit, but I guess AI is also accelerating a lot of the conversations, right? So, I mean, your typical robo-advisor would ask you some basic questions, right? Get a sense of your, risk profile, your risk appetite. Get a sense of your goals, right? Get a sense of, your income, how much you earn, and all of that. And then there's a lot of, math that goes on in the back. In some cases, it might just be variables based, where, if this, then that. In some other cases, it's actually complex math going on. And the reason why you sometimes will need that complex math is because based on the information the person has given you, right, you want to create some form of portfolio for that person, right, where you have different assets and you're able to say, based on what I know, I'm going to do 50% of this. Yeah. I'm going to do 20% of this, I'm going to do 10% of this, right? Now, what makes robo-advisors interesting is something called rebalancing, which, when certain market conditions change around those assets, it's able to say, okay, I'm no longer doing 50% of this, I'm now going to do 40 of this, 30 of this, 10 of this, because I still want to meet this overall goal that you stated. And that's where the complex math actually comes in. And it can be quite interesting. Nigeria, has it picked up as much?
Maybe not as a few institutions have it.
Yes, they do. But I mean, definitely not as advanced as what you have in like the US market. But the market is obviously, getting better in terms of data access. That also seems to be getting better. So I'm sure it's something that will keep.
How do you protect your data on that? It's gone.
Well, you're trusting whoever is providing that service to do the right thing, really. Yeah.
So
you're trusting them to do the right thing.
So that's an institution.
Yeah. Same way you're trusting your bank with your financial information.
And regulation.
Yes.
For that kind of thing in our country, I can't say that it's that strong. Really.
Here in Nigeria,
yes, here in Nigeria.
Here in Nigeria, yes. Well, we're going to get to that actually. Yeah. So what's your take on regulators as well?
Maybe not regulators, maybe regulations. That's around AI, right? Or just
and
around AI and data protection.
I think for AI, again, that's still quite nascent. I think even globally, regulators are still trying to catch up. Right, in terms of everything is just moving at breakneck, speed, and regulators are trying to catch up. In Nigeria, it's still quite nascent. There are lots of conversations obviously happening here and there. First, at the national level, there's a national AI strategy and all of that. So but it's still very nascent, to be honest. In terms of data protection, I think we've gone at least a bit further along, right, compared to AI. When you think about the what's it now? I think it's NDPA and all of that. Yeah, there's some things they've put in place which they track. Again, how strong that is, I might not be able to speak to, but I know that, from time to time you read things here and there, about, oh, there was this breach, or there was this, there was that happened. So yeah. So I guess, again, still nonsense, but I guess it could be better.
Chico, do we have questions from?
We have comments. Very interesting conversation. We should have more topics like this. Interesting. Bottom line, none of us is protected. Would you go along with that? Not exactly.
Well, I mean, you can still protect yourself, right? To a large extent. By what you
By
put.
just not good.
Yeah. So just
Like how easy is it?
how feasible is it?
Yeah.
It's difficult, to be honest.
Because imagine before AI came around.
Mhm.
I mean, with information you put in since you knew what Facebook was years ago, it's picked it.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's picked it.
It has indeed. I picked a Jimmy Cliff song.
Okay.
Which one was it again?
You can get it if you
I suppose it's a good place for us to end it. You can protect yourself if you really want.
Exactly. Protect yourself. It's hard. Obviously, there's some things that should be out there. For example, you saying this, program was out there. I mean, that's a good thing, right? But other like very personal things, probably just don't put them.
Wow.
Just
Okay.
don't put them.
Lessons learned, I guess.
This has been Wealth Management and You. It comes your way at 5:30 every Monday here on Classic FM 97.3. Our topic today, this is part 2 of AI and Wealth Management. We've had the pleasure of the company of Ayodele Oluleye, who's head Insights and Management, ARM. Thank you so much, Aya, for coming through.
Thank you. Thank you.
Raphael, thanks a lot again.
Thanks, Chico,
Till
for having us.
Let's not forget, you can get it